7 hikers climbed a Siberian ridge. At sunrise, the strongest one collapsed. Blood ran from his ears. Within 20 minutes, 5 more were dead. And the way they died is the reason this case is still open. One girl walked off that ridge alive. She was 17. What she described up there sounds less like an accident and more like a group of people losing their minds in real time. Investigators wrote one word in the file: hypothermia. 30 years later, almost nobody who has read her testimony believes that word covers it. This is the Khamar-Daban incident. Russia calls it the Buryat Dyatlov Pass. Tonight, the file is open. August 1993. 7 members of a hiking club called Azimut travel from Petropavlovsk, Kazakhstan to the mountains south of Lake Baikal. The leader is Lyudmila Korovina, 41 years old, a certified master of sport in trekking. She has crossed the Altai, the Tian Shan, the polar Urals. In this club, she is the standard everyone else measures against. The other 6 are her students. Alexander Krysin, her strongest and most experienced. Tatiana Filipenko, 24. Denis Shvachkin, 19. Valentina Utachenko, 17. Victoria Zalesova, 16. And Timur Bapanov, 15 years old, a kid who grew up in the mountains with his parents. Remember Valentina. She is the only one who comes home. On August 2nd, the group steps off the train at Murino Station and starts up into the Khamar-Daban Ridge. And here is the detail every Russian researcher underlines. This was not a solo trip. Korovina's own daughter, Natalia, led a second group on a parallel route. The 2 groups planned to meet at a fixed point on the trail, mother on one path, daughter on the other. Only one of them made it to the meeting point. The weather broke almost immediately. For 3 days, cold rain mixed with snow and a hard wind scraped the ridge. In August, Siberian mountains do this, and Korovina knew it. What she did next is the first real mystery of this case. She kept the group on the high, open part of the ridge, above the tree line, and they spent the night there. Exposed, wet, warm forest stood a few hundred meters below. The morning of August 5th, the group has been cold and wet for days. They start moving. And then Alexander Krysin, the strongest hiker among the students, goes down. Everything that follows comes from Valentina's testimony, given to investigators and repeated in detail for 30 years. Her account has never changed. That consistency is why researchers take every word seriously. And every word is a problem. Krysin convulses. Foam comes from his mouth. Blood runs from his ears. Korovina reaches him, checks his pulse, and tells the group his heart has stopped. Think about that sentence. The leader watches her best student die in minutes on open ground with no cliff, no avalanche, no animal, no injury. And then the group breaks. Victoria, 16, goes into hysterics. Korovina tells Valentina to take her down toward the forest. Valentina grabs her arm and Victoria fights back and bites her. Farther down the slope, Valentina sees Tatiana on the ground, striking her head against the rocks. Again and again, Denis crawls into a sleeping bag and hides, dragging himself behind stones. Timur, the 15-year-old, convulses like Krysin did. These are not descriptions of freezing people. Hypothermia makes people slow, clumsy, sleepy, quiet. This is the opposite. This is 6 people, one after another, in convulsions and panic. Over the space of minutes, Valentina later described their eyes as empty, unfocused, not seeing her. By the time she returned to Korovina, the leader was dead too. Valentina was standing on a bare Siberian ridge, surrounded by the bodies of her instructor and 5 friends, in freezing rain, alone. What she did next is the reason we know any of this. She took a sleeping bag, descended to the tree line, and survived the night. In the morning, she climbed back up. She closed their eyes. She took the map and compass from her dead instructor's backpack. And then a 17-year-old girl walked out of the mountains alone. For days, she followed power lines and a river through empty wilderness. On the Sineznaya River, a group of kayakers found her, silent, unable to explain what had happened. They thought she had escaped from somewhere. In a sense, she had. Now the timeline gets worse. The kayakers brought her out. She gave her statement. And the bodies stayed on the ridge for 3 more weeks. Storms blocked the helicopters. When the recovery team finally reached the site at the end of August, the scene matched her story exactly. 6 bodies lying within meters of each other on open ground with all their equipment, food, and money untouched. Nothing was missing, nothing was disturbed. The mountain had simply stopped 7 people and let one go. The autopsies, such as they were after 3 weeks, recorded hypothermia. Case closed. And officially, that is where the Khamar-Daban incident still stands. 7 exhausted, soaked hikers, a leader's fatal decision to stay on the exposed ridge, cold shutting down their bodies one by one, and panic doing the rest. The sober version deserves a fair hearing, so here it is. Days of cold rain drain the group. Nobody sleeps. Nobody eats properly. Wet clothes strip body heat hour after hour. In deep exhaustion, the collapse can be fast, and severe hypothermia does produce one documented terrifying symptom: paradoxical behavior, confusion, irrational acts, people undressing in the snow. Under this theory, Krisin's body simply failed first. The sight of his death triggered mass panic in freezing teenagers, and the convulsions Valentina saw were the final stage of cold and exhaustion. Korovina's mistake, staying high instead of dropping to the forest, killed them. The end. Here is what that theory struggles with. The foam, the blood from the ears. Hypothermia does not do that. Convulsions in 6 people, nearly simultaneously, is not a pattern the medical literature likes either. And one more thing, Valentina was there too. Same rain, same ridge, same exhaustion, same thin jacket. Whatever switched off 6 people in 20 minutes skipped her. So the other theories moved in. The first is poisoning, something they all ate or drank, some toxin, a bad batch of food, contaminated water. It would explain the convulsions and the foam. It fails on Valentina again, who shared every meal. The second is infrasound, wind over the ridge generating low-frequency vibration below human hearing, which in some studies produces dread, nausea, and panic. It is the same theory people apply to Dyatlov Pass. It has never been proven anywhere. The third points at the map. The early 1990s, a collapsing Soviet military, and a remote ridge within range of test sites, a chemical trace, a weapon trial, something carried on that storm. No document has ever surfaced. In post-Soviet archives, documents have a way of not surfacing. And there is a quieter theory, one Russian mountaineers repeat with a shrug, that the answer is a chain: altitude, exhaustion, wet cold, one death, and then raw human terror. That what killed the group after Krisin was not a substance and not a sound, but the sight of each other, panic as contagion. 6 minds going down like dominoes in a place where no one could afford to lose their head. Valentina Utachenko grew up, married, and stayed silent for decades. In recent years, she finally gave long interviews, and her account of that morning has stayed word for word the same. She insists on one thing above all: her instructor made no mistake that deserves blame, and the mountain's weather was a force she has no words for. The families in Petropavlovsk buried 6 people with one date on the stones. The file in the archive still says hypothermia. 1 ridge, 20 minutes, 6 dead. 1 witness, whose story has never wavered and has never fully been explained. If it was the cold, why the blood and the foam? If it was poison, why did she survive? If it was panic, what starts panic like that in an experienced group led by a master of sport? What is your verdict on Khamar-Daban? The cold, the chain of panic, or something that August storm carried over the ridge? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe, because the archive is deep. Next time, a Soviet lake that vanished overnight, taking everything with it. And the official explanation is stranger than the legends.